Hello, I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI Brand Response Council. These 20-minute live conversations featuring leaders in the performance marketing world speaking about the hottest topics in the industry are scheduled twice a month. Before we get to today's conversation, a quick housekeeping note. We'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of the session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them and we'll try to do as many as possible in the final moments of the episode. Today's episode, The State of the DTC Media Market, touches a bit on last month's PDMI West in San Diego, where a pair of panel discussions, one featuring agency leaders and one featuring sales executives from the media outlets, led to deep and thoughtful conversations about the state of the performance and direct-to-consumer media marketplace. Videos of those sessions will be on our YouTube channel in the coming days, as well as this one. Today, we continue these conversations by bringing together Apex Media's Doug Bognar and MeTV's Jeff Nash for a chat about the unprecedented nature of the D2C media market in 2022 and what we might expect in 2023. As always, PDMI Brand Response Council Chair Chris Foster of Modern Postcard is here to find out where buyers and sellers might find common ground to maximize D2C brands' return on ad spend. Welcome, team. Take it away.
Thank you.
Thomas, thanks so much, and welcome in, gentlemen, and happy holidays to everybody. I can say that now from now until the end of December. So season's greetings, Happy holidays. We all know the media market has been in flux for the last year, and it's ready for more changes heading into 2023. And DTC brands are planning budgets now, if they haven't already, and weighing how to allocate spend across a dizzying array of choices. You got connected TV, linear, cable, programmatic, pre-roll, retargeting, direct mail, social media, etc. The pie slices are very thin in terms of who is going to get what kind of budget. So the question is, does the media marketplace see itself in 2023, and what channels provide the greatest value? Right, from buying to selling, we're going to discuss some of the trends they've seen over 2022, and they're going to put their Karnak prognosticator hats on to project some patterns that they can perhaps see and reveal themselves in 2023. So, Doug, I'll start with you. What surprised you most in 2022?
It's a little bit silly, by the way. Welcome, Chris, and welcome, Jeff. Good to see you both again. This might sound silly, but the QR code. Didn't we kill this thing like 10 years ago? I know COVID brought it back. The sticker on every restaurant you go to instead of getting a menu. So the renaissance of that as it relates to direct-to-consumer television advertising is shocking to me. And I have, by the way, never successfully launched an app or gone to a website via a QR code displayed on my TV screen. It must just be me. I haven't seen any real data on that, but that surprised me. Something not as silly, I guess. Do you know that paid TV subscribers still account for $86 billion of revenue in 2022? That is old school VMVP or MVPD subscribers, heritage television. The death of pay TV is overstated for sure. Listen, it's a declining business, but that's a lot of dough.
It is. Well, and also too, I mean, there are some declining businesses that have rapid declines and some that might have slow plateau declines, right? I'm sure that there are some folks in the electric car business or the battery business saying the gas automobile is doomed to decline, right? Of course, it's going to take about 20, 30 years for people to stop driving gas cars, right? I would think that also too, that for something like television and content, as you grow up as a person, feeling comfortable and feeling the habits that are best suited to your family lifestyle, it's hard to change, right? So the fact that there are so many paid TV subscribers, there will always be millions of paid TV subscribers. There will always be millions of dollars in paid TV advertising. It just might not be as much as it was, but it doesn't mean that it's not there.
I'll throw one more thing out there that was a real surprise to me, and something, a stat I read just recently. 38% of American households don't subscribe to either heritage TV providers or a streaming service. Now, that's all households, not just TV households. So, you know, there's a high single percent that are the weirdos that don't have any TV at all. But that's a shocking figure to me. And if I'm in Jeff's business, man, I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's just a lot of options these days, you know. Kind of go back to what you guys were initially talking about 2022. You know, let's roll back the clock to 2020. You know, the term that we used in 2020 and 2021 was uncertainty. You know, we didn't know what was going to happen. And you know, as early 2021, we started to see the market change. You know, it went from being soft to clients starting to spend a little bit more when their confidence level increased. Once we got familiar with COVID and understood exactly what we were dealing with. You know, I can speak for just about every media outlet out there. 2021 was very strong revenue-wise. Then came 2022. Okay, the word inflation being kicked around, you know, things of that nature. So you went from uncertainty to changeability. Okay, and I've seen more and more advertisers this year or in 2022 change a lot of their, you know, their game plan, you know, their strategies and whatnot. If you're speaking to the direct response advertiser, it could have been a simple, you know, cost per lead tweak, you know, things of that nature, or, you know, finding more areas that are more efficient, you know, networks that, for example, have consistent ratings, because we all know that the ratings are in a decline right now. So a lot of advertisers are taking a look at ratings and investing in networks that have shown that they're not you know, dropping 20-30% overnight in certain demos and whatnot. Luckily enough, we were able to hold on to quite a few of our advertisers because our ratings have been consistent and whatnot. So I think in 2023, that term changeability is going to be something that a lot of people are gonna see. You know, I think the first half of 2023, we're still going to be in sort of a correction. You know, what we felt here in third and fourth quarter, I think that's going to definitely be the case in first and second. And I can see the back end of the next year, third and fourth quarter, starting to show recovery, where then 2024 might be a pretty solid year, or, you know, and whatnot. Back to inflation, you know, the $1 million question, in speaking to different agencies and advertisers, are we in it, or are we going to be in it? You know, no one seems to have that answer. They have their opinion on it, but nobody seems to know what the economy is going to do. Advertisers who are holding on to budgets right now and being selective on where they place it. But I've also had clients call me up and say, we have we're ready to go. We're ready to spend. We just don't have that confidence level yet until we see some improvement in the economy and things of that nature. So we've had a lot of those conversations as of recent. And normally around this time, you kind of have a gut feeling on what first quarter is going to bring, you know, and a lot of it has to do with the momentum that you have coming out of fourth quarter. And right now, anything could happen. You know, that's why I'm saying I'm firmly believing the first two quarters we're going to be in a recovery, you know, and whatnot. So
a little bit of an echo of what we're experiencing now, because that uncertainty, it's an interesting idea, Jeff, because especially in this kind of buying mentality for advertisers, they have to feel what the customers are going to be feeling weeks down the road, right? Because they're spending the money now, but the customers are buying in days and weeks and perhaps even months down. So as they try to kind of read the tea leaves like everybody does, they have naturally, I would think, and I'll ask you, they have a larger or smaller appetite for risk. So I guess I would ask you, what do you see as the appetite for risk moving into next year?
I think it's case by case. You know, there's some categories, and I'm going to use insurance, that may not have the ability to take that risk, you know, and then there's some categories that might be able to take on that risk, you know. I believe anything they do is always going to be influenced by linear television. You know, I think that's still going to be sort of like their main focus. And I'm not saying that they put all their eggs in one basket. I think, you know, again, it goes down to changeability. you want them to try new things, obviously. You want the campaign as a whole to be successful, whether it's, all linear or a combination of OTT and digital and all that, if it's successful, then everybody reaches the benefits of a budget and whatnot. So I think it's case by case. I think next year, most people, most agencies have historical, they know what they're working with. They know where to put their dollars right now if they have to be conservative and kind of show an immediate ROI, and we'll see, because everybody right now is talking about the new shiny toy, OTT and whatnot. But there's still a lot of things that haven't, it's still in its infancy stage, in my opinion. There's a lot of things that we don't know about it, that we're going to learn, I think, in the next year or so. Who are the players, who are not the players, how much inventory is in the marketplace, how do CPMs, compare to linear television, things of that nature, So I think we're all going to learn from all that. But more importantly, I think a lot of clients might be a little hesitant at first to really go into it all in right now.
Right, and that's so interesting, because when new channels open up, I think a lot of people kind of test it, then they hear some great things happening. They're like, yeah, we're going to devote some budget to that. But you were just mentioning earlier in the conversation, MeTV providing a really consistent rating, so they know what they're getting with that outlet, right? So it kind of reduces that uncertainty. I guess, Doug, I'll ask you, what are you seeing in terms of appetite for risk?
Well, I think Jeff brought up, are we in a recession or are we not? The VAB says that advertising's in a recession. We've had 5 consecutive months of year-over-year decline in advertising expenditures. I suspect when the numbers for November come out, we'll see 6 consecutive year-over-year months of decline. So that's happening. And as it relates to direct to consumer products, I mean, I can say from what we saw mid-June, maybe even into May, if I really get a microscope, as gas prices went through the roof, results went into a steep decline. We felt it across the board, across all categories. So that's really that's been impactful. And Jeff said it absolutely right. My crystal ball for first quarter is very hazy.
Mm-hmm.
However, so the question is, what are we going to do about it? Well, we'll do what we always do in this situation. Number one, we'll be cautious, and number two, we're going to make multiple bets.
Yep.
It's going to be linear as a foundational element, and then all of the OTT and digital options.
So if it is multiple bets and you're kind of allocating your budget not evenly, but in a rational and reasonable way across these various channels, what do you see as the channels that might be providing the best value for these brands next year?
That's a wonderful question. I would say, OTT, because the targeting opportunities that exist, but I would love to see better advanced features and transactional capabilities on the platforms so that our attribution is enhanced. My issue with the various OTT platforms right now is that they're all walled gardens. Most of them are. And you're relying on their data for audience metrics and behaviors, and that puts me in an uncomfortable position in advising a client. Now that's coming. I think NBC Universal again is leading the way. Kelly Abakarian, formerly of Nielsen, by the way, and their move away from Nielsen. They're using, didn't they just announce they're going to use iSpot, I think, as their verification platform? So the more that those walls break down, there's uniformity in the audience data that's available, and bring scale to the environment, the better off everyone's going to be in that space.
So that's pretty interesting. And Jeff, I want to jump to you about that. What do you think about that in terms of adding, which channels add the most value?
It comes down to 3 things: distribution, consistent ratings, and programming, your content, okay? I'll just use linear as an example because I'm a linear guy by all means. and I hate to use our network group and pump it up and everything, but there's others that are very similar to us. We're a broadcast network, so we're available over the air, on cable, and on satellite. Everybody knows cord cutting is happening, okay? The good news about networks like ours and a few others is that we're seeing the over-the-air homes increase year to year, okay? So I like to say that we're sort of resilient to cord cutting because you still have an opportunity to get our networks over the air if you choose to do so. Whereas if you're a cable subscriber, if you cut the cord, where are you gonna go, So there's a lot to be said about distribution. I think in terms of an agency, if you're placing a buy, you wanna ask that question, how many households you in? Are you on cable, satellite, over the air? Expand on that. Everybody knows content's king, so you want to know what you're buying. Are your ratings consistent? Is there a lot of volatility quarter to quarter? Put your money where you know that you're going to have a safe bet. Things of that nature. When you get to OTT, like I said earlier, there's a lot to be learned by that in that. But you have people who are cutting the cord, but then you have people like myself. I'm going to use myself as an example. My kids have subscribed to just about every OTT platform you have. So the question becomes, are you going to go subscription broke? Okay, because by the time you add up the Hulus and we were Paramount Plus last night, we got on, and I'm like, okay, now we're sitting at about $200 a month, and my direct TV bill is $100 a month. So do the math, why would I cut, but here's what gets me about OTT, and this is kind of where I think a lot of people haven't discussed this part of OTT. When OTT was introduced, okay, the concept was commercial free, and you wanted to binge watch, okay, and you wanted to turn it on and watch the entire series and sit down and enjoy it. I did that with Shameless. That was the first show I binged. I spent 2 days, during COVID and watched the whole show. Right now, I'm gonna use Yellowstone as an example, season 5, okay. In the past, I was able to go on and watch all the episodes at one time. You get sucked in. It's binge programming. That's what OTT offers. Now I got to wait each week for a new episode. Okay, so then do the math. If there's 10 episodes and there's 4 a month, 2.5 months. Now I'm spending another $35 just to watch 10 episodes because I got to hold on to Paramount Plus for another 3.5 months. Or do I just not subscribe to it and wait for all 10 episodes to come out, buy it for 1 month and then cancel it? Okay, so you're going to have people doing a lot of that. So we don't know what viewers are going to do with OTT long term.
Sure.
And
then also too, we don't know how the providers are going to make adjustments, right? So a buddy of mine did that with Disney Plus. He waits until an entire series is ready. He subscribes for a month. They watch it all, then they're done, and they wait until the next one. And so I think that consumers are going to change. I think that now we know that Netflix is going to offer a paid version. I'm sure others are going to offer paid versions too. So that's going to change as well. There might be programs that are bingeable only if you pay for the full subscription.
Right?
Yeah, but
that's next.
Netflix has trained the viewer to watch a series without commercial interruption. Okay, and now you're going to tell them to do exactly what they do when they watch linear television. Question becomes, is there enough content on Netflix for somebody to watch Netflix an entire month? Do they hold their audience the entire month like a linear television station could, or a television network? You know what I mean? Look at Amazon Prime, for example. They have free with commercial content, okay? And you start watching a movie and they're not natural breaks in these movies. You could be in the middle of a scene and they just cut right into a commercial without any type of segue. And I'm going, okay, that's not what I want, so I'm not engaged anymore like I thought I would be, so I'm not going to watch it anymore. It's a one and done,
That's
so
right.
We don't know the pattern of the viewer here. What are they going to do 6 months from now, a year from now? More importantly, is there going to be a correction in the marketplace, because you only have so many people who are going to subscribe to these, okay? Without commercials, obviously, where are they going to make their money, okay? You only have X amount of people that are going to subscribe. If you need, how does a Netflix or a Hulu or a Paramount stay in business if they don't have the subscribers, because there's too many choices. So is there going to be a consolidation to OTT? Is Apple going to buy Disney, for example? Are they going to be the leader of all this down the road? You never know. But I think that at some point in time, you'll see something of that nature happen, because viewers right now, I mean, like I said, you're going to go subscription broke by the time it's all said and done, you know?
That's right. It sounds like we need an entire episode just on the future of OTT and the changes. That's a great idea, Jeff. Thank you. But for this
Chris,
episode,
one key. I know we're up against the time limit, but one key
Bring
point here. All of those things that Jeff mentioned are absolutely true, but the difference is it's the choice of the consumer.
Yep.
And
Correct.
you don't feel like you have that choice with AT&T or Dish or whomever. You feel like you're being force-fed all this stuff. I never watch it. It's all waste. But if I have something I want to watch on Netflix, I'll pay for it.
Yep.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, Netflix, excuse me, their next move is, I know they say they're not going to do it, but they're going to have to go to episodic instead of dropping an entire series at a time. And
Right.
probably, like you say, Chris, you're not going to have the full archive of a season unless you're subscribed to
A subscriber.
you know,
So
4
I can
months or
imagine,
something.
I can imagine a lower tier subscription where I get dropped one episode of Bridgerton per week, or if I'm the full premium member, I get to watch Bridgerton all, so that
That's
we
right.
can all get in our pajamas, get some popcorn, and watch it over an entire weekend.
And that'll be your choice. You get to decide.
I know. And then John's on the side saying, Foster, you choose to watch Bridgerton over an entire weekend? Terrible choice.
I want to go back to one other thing you mentioned, Doug, about QR codes. It's interesting because back in 2011, I sat on a panel in San Diego, and one of the audience members asked that question. And at the time, the 5 panelists kind of looked at each other like, okay, what are we going to say here? You know, because we knew of it, but it wasn't really that big of a deal yet. What really happened was the Super Bowl ad with the with crypto, which, you know, the QR code came up, and just nobody knew what the heck it was. But I'll tell you who knew what it was, my 12-year-old daughter. She knew within 20 seconds what that thing was because she had her phone in her hand, and she went and said, Dad, that's crypto. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What I like about the QR codes, I think they're great for direct response. It's a great attribution model. And the reason I say that is obviously the millennials and, you know, a little older generation, we have these things in our hand at all times, okay? We're quick to getting that code scanned no matter where you're at. So now, you know, direct response historically has always been, let's target the baby boomers because they have the spending power, okay? Let's have the 800 number out there because you know they're gonna call, because that's the old school way of reacting to a sense of urgency message. Now, you can actually develop a heck of a lot more different ideas for direct response, knowing that QR code's in place, okay?
Yeah.
And the other reason that I like about it is that direct response has always been tailored toward, you know, a 60 or a 120, you know, in length, because you want to get your message out and, you know, things of that nature. Now with that QR code, you can do 30-second ads or 15-second ads in DR and get that prime real estate that you couldn't get before, because you're instantly going to know whether they're responding to it or not. And I think that's going to be a game changer in our industry.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of it, unless, you know, advertisers choose not to put it in their creative. But I think if you can source it back to what network you're watching or what platform you've seen it on, I think it's a game changer for DR.
And also too, Jeff, I love that point about the 15 or 30 second, because you don't have to tell your whole story. You can let
Right.
the QR code go to a YouTube video or another kind of video or another piece of content that tells your story and your message along with the attribution.
However,
That's
you
awesome.
have to have the display of the QR code long enough for somebody to launch and capture it.
That's right. That's right.
That's the other side of that.
All right, well, guys, we could talk about this all morning, but we are up to time. Do we have any questions at all, Thomas?
Yeah, actually, a couple of great ones, and touching on a lot of the stuff that you guys talked about, building off that. First one, I mentioned of $86 billion in paid TV subscriber revenue. It's a large number. If linear TV subscriptions are doomed in the years to come, how do MVPDs plan to make good on this revenue?
Their pivot is to going back to the package, you know, the triple plays of the world, but it's broadband and wireless now. I mean, you can see Charter has been phenomenally successful in doing that. There is also there is a massive pushback on the fees that are paid to content producers, the Discovery channels of the world and Scripps and whomever own all those networks. They're the ones I think they're going to be in a crunch. because if they can't pull off a successful direct-to-consumer play, then they have to be content mercenaries and look for distribution across all of the platforms that they think are going to be winners. So listen, it's hard to feel sorry for Comcast or Charter or whomever, but the smaller ones out there, the smaller traditional MVPDs, yeah, they're going to get gobbled up.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Their video product will end likely.
Right. Next one, and it's good to see somebody's reading the newsletter. In PDMI's newsletter last week, I saw a story that reported that more than 3/4 of Americans now want a centralized hub for access to and payments for their streaming services.
Yeah.
Basically, a return to the cable bill, except with streaming. Is anyone best positioned to provide this? And if it occurs, what does it mean for advertisers?
No question, it is your TV manufacturer. It's LG and Samsung and Vizio. They own the biggest screen where the most video is consumed. They're absolutely best positioned to do so, and they know it. They were slow to react to that, but now their operating systems, and that's a whole nother topic, operating systems for those TVs, that's a big deal. But they are best positioned to take over that space and be the one media hub that we've talked about for 20 odd years.
At length, Doug, that's a great point about the technology of TV, what they're going to do in the future. Are they going to integrate an over-the-air signal or antenna so that you're able to, over-the-air TV at no cost and things of that nature. So yeah, it's all contingent on what their game plan is going to be.
What was the second part of that question, Tom? I'm sorry.
It was basically, what does it mean for advertisers?
It makes things easier, actually, because ACR data, automatic content recognition will be available. What's actually on the glass. They'll have registration information for who's viewing. It should make for some very sophisticated and comprehensive data.
Yeah, and you need to see how to be presented to, Tom, in order to really know.
Great. Yeah, I think we're just about out of time here. I'm going to jump back in. I will say, due to Doug's point, it was good to see Samsung ads, therefore, at PDMI West in San Diego with a nice full team.
Yep.
So, hope to keep building those relationships, I think.
And also, to that point real quick, you were mentioning about the hardware on the first slate, our season 3 of Take 20s in January, we rolled right into that topic. So so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we are. We're going to dive into that for sure. It's a very interesting situation, and there's so many. I mean, we could do 17 episodes out of the stuff that was talked about in the last half hour. So, yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate the wisdom and look forward to seeing how the market shakes out. Your next scheduled opportunity to attend a live online Take 20 episode is Wednesday, December 14th, as we gather members of our Brand Response Council to look back at 2022. What worked, what didn't, and what does it all mean? Please visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. In addition, registration and hotel reservations are open now for PDMI East, our next in-person event set for March 20th through 22nd, 2023 at Eden Rock, Miami Beach. Through December 31st, you can take advantage of our early bird badge special, say that 5 times fast. To gain entry into this first 2023 event at a 2022 price, a $100 discount per badge. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-East for more information and to grab your badge today. Thanks again for checking out this episode of the PDMI's Take 20. Be well. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.